So we have Yonka Mayonka, BerntDasBROT, and Magic versus Newcomer, which is just Peini, and Saiyajin 9. Now, Bernt and Magic, obviously, they came second in last year's LIHL, so they've got a very strong track record. Although we've got to say, Magic hasn't really played much in the whole of this year, basically. So he's fairly low rated, but that obviously doesn't reflect his skill. He's definitely one of the better players in the game. And I'm going to say, as long as he's not too rusty, I really favour Yonka Mayonka here. But Peini and Saiyajin are both great players as well, so I'm not going to rule anything out. I just think the fact that Yonka Mayonka managed to come second last year gives them a little bit of an edge in this matchup.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And even Julian hasn't been very active in the games recently because of his issues with the game, not launching. He's still one of the better players and definitely the better of the four, in my opinion. So he might be able to give Magic the good advices in terms of build, of sense, to make up with his period of inactivity.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And let's just have a quick look at these player profiles. So we can see from Bernt's graph, he's a fairly well-balanced player, right? Like, there's nothing there that massively stands out. He's a pretty good architect, he's a pretty good breaker, so he doesn't leak that much, and he leaks his opponents a lot more than he leaks himself. So, fairly, like a balanced all-rounder, I'd say. He's not one of those Ashton players who's just crazy high on income. He's not one of those Shadow players who just saves Mythium every single wave. He's pretty balanced. Like, there's not that much more to say about him. Whereas if you look at Magic, it's a little bit more pronounced. Like, he never spends Mythium on King Ops, and that really pays off because his breaker stat is even higher than Bernt's.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, Magic's graph looks a bit like just Peini's graph.
Yeah, it does.
It's a bit more breaker, but a bit fewer Kingsguard.
Yeah, so those two players and how they match up actually is going to be pretty interesting, because Magic is all about breaking his opponent, and Peini is all about not leaking, because he's got that really high architect skill, right? Thank you for the host, Bonnie, by the way. So who's going to win out there? Is Magic with his breaking abilities going to be able to break Peini with his architect abilities or not? We're going to have to find out, right? Now, I've got a couple of follows, so thank you for that, guys. I should probably turn the alert sounds off because it's a little bit off-putting. And then if we look at the other team, the Newcomers, so we've talked about Peini already, his very high architect skill. Other than that, again, a pretty balanced player. Like, all of his other stats are pretty well-rounded. There's nothing there that stands out other than his architect. So he kind of comes across as maybe a bit of a safe player and just a very good builder. Like, he's going to have a solid build. It's going to be tough to leak him. And then Saiyajin, he's a different playstyle again. Like, he's a bit more income heavy, and he doesn't break very much. He doesn't skip many waves. But because he's got that extra income, it means that he can cover any leaks in the middle that get to the king, right? So between those two players, Peini and Saya, I expect them to play fairly safe, have decent value, and be pretty tough for Yonka Mayonka to leak them, especially in the early game. So it might end up with both games going fairly late. But either way, I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see who wins out this time.
Yes, and also about Saiyajin, as we kind of noticed by his profile and the games on Bunny Stream, we all know that he likes to overbuild quite a lot to hold the longest and do long starves like 11 to 16 or such things. He really likes to do it with Hydras or very highly cost units.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I think we might see a starve game too.
Yeah, and look at that, Saiyajin with his 99% Grawl pick rate, and Magic with his 100% on the Warg. Like, these guys really like their favourite units, don't they? Those are really pronounced.
Grawl into Tier 6 is usually a solid start. If you go LOD, even Fire Lord, I think he's pretty decent up until 7.
Yeah. And we see Gargoyle for both Peini and Saiyajin are pretty high up. Very, very solid opener is the Green Devil. Like, it's probably, even now that it's been nerfed, it's still one of the better openers, I think, especially like in the King Up meta, because if you get that King Up on 1 into your Green Devil, you're guaranteed 5 workers, possibly even 6 going into wave 3, and you can just put on so much pressure in the early game. It's a really, really solid opener.
Yes, exactly, and even in the wave 3, of course, very solid. Wave 4, it tanks pretty well thanks to his ability to protect a pierce damage dealer. 5, it deals magic damage, so it's good. It's still good. And after 6, it starts to fall off. 7, insane tank, I think, on the split. So very good early game unit.
Yeah, really, really solid, really solid. And on the other side there, you can see that BerntDasBROT's favourite units are really expensive. So he's got that antler up there. He's got the Millennium and the banana bunk. So I think from that we can say that he's a bit of a late game player, because it's not often that you see those expensive tier 6 units in the kind of favourite role section. Normally favourite roles, at least for me, are reserved for like early game units, because it's something that you always want to pick to make sure you have a solid start to the game. But Bernt having those late game tier 6 units up there, I think kind of says something about his playstyle.
Yes. If the game doesn't start too long, Bernt is able to grid a lot and still hold decent sense. So it might also go big if the late game is reached after 15.
And I see, just as we're kind of finishing talking about the teams, I can see that the teams are ready to go. So, guys, let's get it on.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Just Peini, while the game is launching, I see in the chat that Float Hest is saying that I'm a bit low.
Okay, let me turn you up.
Yep.
That should be better now. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
I need to turn those alerts off, but thanks for the follows, everybody. Right, game is on. Welcome, game 1, Yonka Mayonka versus the Newcomers. We can see from the Legion spells we have Allowance, we have All Out Assault and Vampire. So Allowance is a fairly solid defensive spell. All Out Assault is a very strong offensive spell though. So I would probably expect to see some decent action on wave 11 or 12 in this game, which means you have to pick units that are good there. Things like Banana Bunk are excellent. Angler for the Kingpins are really strong. But it's going to be interesting. I see that Peini has the Gate Guard in his role. Obviously the best unit in the game at the moment. Let's see if he goes with it, and he does.
Yeah, also the third spell is Vampire, so if you have a very good synergy with Vampire, you can hold pretty much any sand with on 11, despite the All Out Assault. Like a Bunk or Haven with Vampire, just insanely tanky.
Yep. And I see Saiyajin going with a 3-worker Lord of Death opening. So that's fairly strong. He also has the option, because of the Grawl, it means that he can turn that LOD into a Hades on, say, wave 7, which is really, really strong.
Yes, also, maybe I would have tried the LOD on 3 with 5 walkers opener, but it's up to him and how he feels.
I think probably what he would do is play it by ear. Like if you get a king up on 1, then you go for the 5-worker and do it on 3. But the fact that he gets saved on here means that he's going to go for it on wave 2 instead.
Yeah, true. And it might also have been a bit safer considering there is a Berserker, which makes the wave super, super long.
Yeah, very true, very true. And it only delays your workers by a little bit, right? Like, it just means that you push those workers on wave 2 instead of before wave 2. So it's maybe like a minus 10 or 20 Mythium at most.
Yes, not the biggest of the deals.
But we do see Magic now on 5 workers, so he is in the lead. There's 9 workers on Yonka Mayonka versus 7 workers on Newcomers. Now that is an advantage however you look at it.
He has an advantage on wave 2, but on wave 3, I think he's not the best, considering his 2 units are natural armor at the moment.
Yeah, and look at this. So Bernt does send the Dragon Turtle into the LOD of Saiyajin, which is perfect food for him. He can push 6 workers easily now.
Yes, and still before on wave 4.
Yep.
Where some people can get caught off guard if you resend the DT on 4.
Yep.
And you greeded the LOD.
And Peini greeting with the Berserker as well, despite not having had a send yet. So there's a pretty good chance that he can leak decently now on wave 3. I guess he's going to go for the False Maiden, but now that Berserker's been nerfed on wave 3 as well, you can still leak that combo pretty well, especially because Magic's going to have like a 80 Mythium to send to him.
Yes, but the False Maiden has the advantage of doing small damage to all the units, which makes the Berserker attacking needing to attack one less.
That's a really good point. So you're basically
as the hoppers.
Buffing the Berserker's DPS by like 25%, right? It's pretty powerful.
Yeah. Now it maybe all comes down to how the focus will be if he doesn't die too fast.
Yep. He's getting a Fiend, he's getting a Snail as well. This Fiend, though, if it goes into the False Maiden, it's going to absolutely destroy Peini's build. And that is happening, so this Fiend is going to rip through that Maiden.
Yeah.
There's income sends over on Burnt and Magic as well, but I expect them both to be fine, so I really want to watch lane 4 here and see how Peini fares against the Fiend send.
Still see a small leak on Magic.
A small leak on Magic? Oh, actually, yeah. That's a bigger leak than I thought it would be. But Peini's 61%.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. Because then again, he's pretty weak on 5 now, unless he builds a Badman that he hardens.
Yeah, true.
He's not the best. Not the best on 5 either.
Now, he was 5 workers, and he did manage to push to 6 after that send, so it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yes. He still can manage a bit of pressure
on
his opponent.
Saiyajin staying at 5 workers, though, means that the income, the pressure really is on the hand of Yonka Mayonka now. We have a Fiend send here from Burnt into Saiyajin. I expect Saiyajin to hold that comfortably. What do you think he builds? Maybe a Neko?
No, it's actually an item. Or maybe he will leave it. Maybe he will leave it as a Proton.
He needs to add, otherwise he's going to leak. Okay, he gets a Neko.
Oh,
okay, he should be fine. Yeah, he should be fine.
He would have leaked really big, I think.
Yep. Now the Neko is going to take the aggro. Only of 1 chicken though. So does the dragon die? It does. It doesn't get any. Oh, it does get a last hit. Okay, that keeps it alive for a bit longer. Yeah, this is an easy hold now. That last hit, that was a real clutch last hit from the dragon there. It just guaranteed the hold when it stayed alive.
Yeah, this is a really clutch last hit. I know he spawns the second one and be very, very fine and push maybe to 8 walkers. Is he great?
Does he go 8? He doesn't. He stays on 7. Okay, so he's playing a little bit safe, but we did expect that when we looked at the player profiles before the match. We said that Saya and Peini might play a little bit safer than their Yonka Mayonka counterparts.
Yes, and also maybe he wants to cover his mate as best as possible if he leaks big.
Yeah. Now, both players of the Newcomers are sending here. The DT's a decent damage against Burnt's natural front line, but he just has such high value, so I think he should be fine.
Yeah, definitely. And I didn't see the Harpy here. The Harpy can 90 snipe this DT.
Yep.
Hopefully pretty fast.
I think he's going to be fine. Now, Magic obviously is fine there with his value, including a Violet. He's really strong on wave 5. And Peini has a Hardened Mudman. So, though we said he might be weak on wave 5, that Hardened Mudman just gives him so much tank value here that he's going to be more than fine.
Yeah, exactly. And he's even 5 and 6 despite the low Mudman because of the mask split power and the Berserker, of course.
Yeah, and Burnt holds his lane as well. So far, no leaks other than that wave 3 where both Magic and Peini leaked.
We see Julian resending a dino for the income, most likely. I don't think he tends to leak Saiyajin here.
Saiyajin should be fine unless he decides to shift gold here. Now, I think if I was Saiyajin, I'd probably place the Graal here, because then you can say, well, if he sends here, the Graal will keep me safe, and if he doesn't send here, I'll have the Hades for next wave.
Does he have the money for the Hades with just 1 Graal?
Let's see now. He's going to have 114, 100...
No, I don't think so.
No, you don't, right? You need like 2 Graals to do it.
Yep.
But because of this Dino Send here, he has no need to either.
Yep. And now he just doesn't even need to sell the Graal for now. He can just upgrade the cat and be fine for 7.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, we have a bit of a Mythium save coming from the Newcomers, Sire and Peini, both with over 100 Mythium in the bank. And the fact that they get these income sends here means they can push a couple of workers and really start to put the pressure back onto Yonka Mayonka. They both fully hold the sends as well.
Yeah, not even close to leaking.
Yeah.
Actually. Oh, actually, Saiyajin is close to leaking, right?
He's pretty close, but he's going to be fine.
Yes. Okay, we see the send from Saiyajin. Maybe I would have expected them to maybe try a send on 8 because of how strong the wave is with the back leader or something.
True. I think there's a couple of reasons why you don't go 8. One is the coiler, because the deep coiler is just so good on... I mean, it's great on 7 as well, but it's amazing on 8.
Yeah, of course.
And then you've got the bucklers as well, the Royal Guards. So although they're natural armor, like they suck against magic damage, but they do have that range reduction. So they're slightly better on 8 than they are on 7. But it's an income send anyway, so they're not really trying to leak them. They're just trying to keep their income going.
Yep, and with the king ups, so they were quite afraid of the sends, actually.
I don't think either player will leak here. But they can just keep pushing now. So because both sides are sending, like income and king ups, both teams can continue to push. And we probably do, at this rate, expect to see a fairly late game.
Yeah, and we see a bit of advantage in walkers also on Saiyajin and Peini's side. Look at...
Oh, magic leaks! That's a 60% versus an income send. I really didn't expect that.
Pretty big. And Julian is leaking too.
No, Julian's fine. That Sky Queen has max mana. It does so much damage already. But he's not going to cover very much in the mid.
Maybe he can clear the small ones if he has a bit of luck.
Depends on focus, right? He goes straight for a full HP big one, so no luck.
Feels bad, man.
Oh, but that Sky Queen did so much damage.
I really want to see the DPS of it.
Yeah. We can't type that as spectators, right? Or can we? No, we can't.
I don't think so.
We can't.
No, we can't. And we see Peini with 12 walkers now. He has a
That's
bit of
really
an advantage.
good. That's really good for Peini. I almost think Saiyajin should be a little bit more aggressive here.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he's afraid of wave 10, right? Because what does he have for 10?
Yeah, he does look pretty weak on 10. He's got Yozora, so I guess he's got some good tank value there.
Nightmare? Nightmare Doppelganger, maybe?
Yeah. Doppelganger, although it has no lifesteal, so it needs tanks, otherwise it just dies anyway.
Yes. He doesn't have to rank to get a lot of bonus damages before it gets focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all players are fine here. We've got more income sends coming out, so no team going for like an early kill send at this rate. A couple of brutes though from Saiyajin. Let's see how Magic handles those.
Just as you say it, here
yeah,
goes
yeah. Caster's curse, dude. You say one thing, the players do the opposite.
Exactly. Exactly. It's actually not that bad of an idea to go brute.
Yeah, although I think Magic's really good on wave 9, right? Like, he's got the Violet. I mean, he's just adding the Wanderer now, which obviously they didn't see, so you can't fault them for that. But Violet just on its own is already really strong on wave 9. So I don't know. I would maybe have just gone for income myself.
Or maybe a Drake. But now the coiler was too far. It would have gone on the Drake.
But look, Saiyajin's just gone for the Hades here on wave 9. And Yonka Mayonka both save, so he's going to be super vulnerable now on wave 10. Like the Hades, it's amazingly powerful early game. Like you have no chance of leaking a Hades on wave 7, 8 or 9. But it sucks on 10. It's really bad on wave 10.
Yes, bad damage and bad defense.
And Peini even hardened his golem here. So these players are both looking really vulnerable now on wave 10.
Yeah, especially considering how small the leak is on Julian. Like it's a Drake and 2 units.
Oh, that is such a pro leak.
Only one.
A Drake and 1 Carapace. Oh no. Now if I'm Sire and Peini, this is where I start to panic. Do you send income or do you just put it all into king attack?
Yeah,
because they're gonna leak hard here on wave 10 to any send.
Yes.
And that's not just any send, that's a Ghost Knight.
And the pack leader brute on the other side. And there is even the Oslo sword for 11, so they might not even be able to push. At least Peini, considering he has no magic for 11.
Now, Saiyajin has 1400 value. But that ain't going to help him against a Ghost Knight. He's going to leak everything. If he manages to kill the Ghost Knight, I'll be impressed.
I think Hades deals decent damage to the Ghost Knight, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it depends on focus, right? Like if the Hades goes on the boss and everything else goes on the Ghost Knight, that's just game over. Peini does have the Fatalizer here, so that is like a glimmer of hope.
Yep. Plus the Hardened Madman.
But these are still big sends. So what does the Fatalizer focus? It looks like the pack leader's getting sniped out, so that dies really quickly.
Yeah, it's very good. And the Fatalizer is not focused yet, so I
yeah,
think
okay, so Peini's going to be okay. He might leak like a low HP boss. But Saiyajin, he's not okay. He did kill the Ghost Knight. So the Ghost Knight dies, and that's really good for Saiyajin because it's the difference between like the 67% leak and what would be like over 100% if the Ghost Knight survives.
Yes, exactly. It would have been so painful.
But really good hold from Peini, though. Really, really good hold from him.
Good, but actually close. The Fatalizer almost died.
Yeah.
But Saiyajin at least now can easily cover his mate on wave 11 in case they try to resend with AoE.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like the Hades is amazing again on wave 11. Wave 10 is just one big weakness for the Hades. Like, other than that, it's a really, really powerful unit up until the late game from now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Even on 12, it's decent if he has good tanking.
I mean, on 12, it just deals so much damage.
Yeah, if you have enough tanking to give time to spawn a second Thanatos,
yeah,
you can click 12 with the Hades.
It's probably one of the higher damage units in the game right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so for spells, we've got All Out on Burnt and All Out on Peini, and we have Vampire for Magic and Vampire for Saiyajin. So a bit of a mix.
Yep, I don't think we see a send on... Maybe we will see a send on 12. What do you think?
I think it's a send on 12. I think Burnt calls a wave 12 send, thinking that the Hades will be weak there. And also Peini's build looked weak there, because obviously like Fatalizer sucks on 12, Harbinger's not great on 12. But Peini, he called that. He knew what was coming. He built a second red mask here, so he's going to have 2 Tantrum masks on 12, which is going to deal a ton of damage. And if he wants to, he can harden both of his Mudmen there.
I think the Mudman was hardened, or maybe I just didn't see well, but the Golem, yes, was definitely not.
Okay, here is...
Okay, I saw badly. He actually wasn't.
So here is Ghost Knight and Pack Leader sends. I expect Peini to be fine, especially if he calls it and hardens here, then there's no way he leaks. If he doesn't harden, then maybe he can.
Yeah, his value is pretty decent. 2k. Even if he's not great, his value is still decent. And Saiyajin is definitely okay, I think. With the Hades protected by the Protons and the tank line of the King Claw.
Yeah, so that Proton to keep the Thanatos alive, really good, although it did take focus before the tanks. So that's a lot of his damage gone now, but the Ghost Knight is dead. King Claw doesn't get the second spell out. I think he's leaking pretty badly. He needed a little bit more tank so that Thanatos can continue to deal damage. 83% here. Did Peini really harden? I don't think he did, and that means he's leaking too. So this is going to be a lot of king damage now.
Oh, that's a big mistake, I think, on Saiyajin's side. He didn't protect enough the Thanatos.
And that's a 69% leak for Peini, so nice there for Yonka Mayonka. Not so nice for the Newcomers. This might even be game here. This is going to be a ton of damage.
I think they already called the GG.
Yeah, they're dead. They're dead. That's game. Well played, Yonka Mayonka.
Oh, actually, it's the snipe.
Victory.
Oh, I didn't expect this.
That non-harden there from Peini was... I mean, it cost him the game, right?
Yeah, and the Thanatos snipe on Saiyajin's side.
Yeah, he just needed a little bit more tank value. That's all it would have taken.
Yeah, I think that's why they didn't go on 12. They expected Saiyajin to cover his mate here.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, there's a couple of things they could have done. Like, they could have had the split higher on the right-hand side, so the Ghost Knight goes away from the Thanatos. Or he can just have like a melee unit closer to the Hades that takes the aggro before the Thanatos does. But either way, that Thanatos dying so quickly, I mean, that's like 50% of Saiyajin's damage that's just gone as soon as that dragon dies. Like, it's pretty rough. And then Peini not hardening, I mean, I'm pretty sure he holds. He would hold there, right? Like, there's no way.
Yeah. Yes, and I have a message from Julian saying he actually wanted to pick AoE, or maybe it was Magic who picked Vampire, but he wanted to pick AoE.
Oh, so you misclicked.
I misclicked the spell, actually. But in the end, they still won, so...
In the end, they still won, yeah. Well, really well played for Yonka Mayonka. It looks like Magic's not so rusty after all.
Yeah, he played very well.
He played very, very well, yeah. Really good gameplay.
I think he led in workers count pretty much the whole game, at least on his team.
Let's take a look at the graph. Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it. Saiyajin had like a lead on wave 5, but other than that, Magic was pretty much ahead for most of the game. Like, Peini had one more worker than him on a couple of waves, but yeah, Magic definitely holding his own there. So really well played for Magic. Obviously, him being the glorious leader of Yonka Mayonka means he's a very skilled, handsome, and intelligent player.
Yes, exactly, of course, since he's Yonka Mayonka.
Yeah. And let's see, the next lobby is up, so I'm going to join that.
Yeah, we were waiting for you.
And the players have swapped sides, so they're going to mix up who sends to who.
I think they did, yes. They did swap.
Yeah.
And I am ready. Are you?
I am ready. Now, this just has to be the Yonka Mayonka advantage, right? Because Yonka Mayonka both have the name Yonka Mayonka, but they also have 2 players from Yonka Mayonka, which, as we all know, is the best, highest skilled guild in the game of Legion TD2. And the Newcomers, they only have 1 Yonka Mayonka player, so they are at a bit of a disadvantage there.
Yeah, of course. Just by that, it would be instantly 2-0.
Yeah.
For Yonka Mayonka.
I really want to see the Newcomers put up a fight in this game too, though. Let's see if we can either take it to a draw or at least make this game a little bit tougher against the Yonka Mayonka.
Yeah, I hope it will go at least for having a very high skill game, because this one was pretty much due to a big mistake on Newcomer side, because they didn't do any mistake before that, I think.
Yeah, agreed. But a game of Legion can turn on a dime like that. Like, they were probably expecting a send on 14 or something, right?
Yes, to break the Hades.
Yeah. But even then, I think you can afford to harden your golems. Like, even if you're not expecting the 12 send, you can afford to harden just because he's so strong on 13 with the Fatalizer.
Yes, exactly. And the Hades on the other side.
So it's almost one of those situations where just why not do it, right? Like, even if you're expecting the 14, why would you not harden on 12? Anyway, let's leave the past game and we'll start talking about this new one. So this game, we have different spells. We've got the Guardian Angel, fantastic buff spell for one of your fighters, particularly good on mana users, so things like the Gate Guard that BerntDasBROT is showing, although he didn't pick it, so I mean he's just lost already. And anything that has like damage reduction, so Yozora that Saiyajin has, for example, is a very good GA target, or Lioness, although I don't think we see any of those on the field. Now you've got the Giant Snails, which is a very strong offensive spell, not as broken as it used to be, but still a very solid all-round spell. And Allowance, which is, again, is just pretty vanilla, like the plus 100 gold, you can never go wrong. You either use it to build extra fighters if you're expecting a send, or you use it to push workers if you want to be more aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty. You sum up pretty well here. So this time, as opposed to the other game, I think we will maybe see a almost guaranteed send on 10 because of GA and allowance, and maybe 10-13. We might see this.
Now,
although when I look at Saiyajin's role, he has pretty much nothing for 11, right?
Yeah.
Unless he pulls out a Hellgate. But he doesn't have anything for 11.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad roll. I mean, the fists, like the Oathbreakers, are tanky there, and Peini has the Banana Bunk, so they can, to some extent, they can cover each other, but maybe Saiyajin just hopes to go for a reroll for something for wave 11, right?
Yeah, I think so too. But Peini on the other side, I really love it. He has a Banana Bunk for tanking, Mask Violet for the early game, and Steed with the Arc of Justice and the APS to boost it.
Yeah,
so that's very good all around.
And Peini going to 5 workers again with no send on 1. So the same that he did in game 1. Let's see if he gets punished for it the same as he did there, because last game he pushed the 5th worker and leaked 61% on 3. So let's see what happens here on wave 3 when the send comes. Meanwhile, both Burnt and Magic on 5, of course, but they did get those king ups, so they're very safe to do so. And let's see if the sends come out or not. They come, but it's income only.
Only Lizard.
Yeah. So what is Peini's answer now? He goes for the mask. Is he going to upgrade? I guess a second False Maiden is pretty good here. But he goes for the Steed. Okay, I think that's fine, honestly. Like, it's very well typed on wave 3. There's no mana users, which means it will do the extra DPS from buffing itself. I think that's pretty solid here.
Yeah, Steed is decent on 3. It's good damage, decent tanking for the wave.
And Saiyajin actually stayed 4 workers. Like, he has the Nightmare Fist combo. He could have gone 5 and been completely fine against this income send here on 3. I guess he was playing safe to counter a Brute, which can leak this fairly badly. But, I mean, he's completely fine now. To have that Gargoyle in the split is just a guaranteed hold. It's not the worst play. I just maybe would prefer to see him be a little bit more greedy. Peini rewarded there for that 5th worker, easily holding wave 3. And Magic actually leaks here. What was his build?
Yeah, Pro Magic. Yeah, the mask didn't have the best RNG and he leaked a lot to low HP.
Yeah. I mean, what was that leak there? 39%. So it's not too bad. And he has gone up to 6 workers, but it's still a loss of gold, right?
Yes. But I don't think it will matter that much, because I think he just can shift now and build the Violet for 5 and be fine.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And that's exactly what he does. So he is shifting. The shift might kill him if Peini decides to resend like a Lizard or something, but that's the worst he can send. And he is going to save.
Yep. Yeah, it's very, very unlikely that people resend.
Peini goes for the Dragon Turtle.
As I was saying, it's unlikely that people resend on 2 masks.
Caster's Curse, dude. Caster's Curse.
Yes, exactly. One more time. Looks like he's doing okay. The Hawk tanked pretty well. Let's see now. Yeah, that's a full clear from Magic.
Yeah, that's really nice for him now. So he still gets the Violet on wave 5. Which means he's going to be super safe on 5 and 6. And he can just push workers going into both of those waves. A little bit more gold from here as well.
Yeah. To cover the goals he lost on wave 3.
He does need to send to get that Violet. And he didn't. He didn't send in time, so now he has to sell something.
Oh, he will sell a mask.
Yeah.
But which one? Which one?
I guess selling a mask is not too painful.
No. Sometimes it's better to sell a tier 1 than sending 20 or 40 and losing the pressure you have.
Yeah. Now, let's have a look. There's a couple of sends coming out. I think we might get some leaks here.
Yeah, especially considering this mask is not boosted.
Although it's tanking perfectly. Look at that. The boss on the red mask and nothing else.
Yes. Yeah, perfect job. And the DT died, so that's a lot of DPS fewer for the Hawk.
Oh, that's a really good hold. So Peini is full holding, it looks like. And Saiyajin, he's going to hold as well. So both players holding the income sends here. It's really good for the newcomers. And now the pressure is back on Yonka Mayonka, because both newcomers, 8 workers, and double the Mythium compared to the Yonka Mayonka counterparts. When do you think they want to send?
Yes, and we saw that Magic also didn't push after the wave 5 started, despite receiving on 4 and not being able to push to get the Violet.
Yeah.
So he played very, very safe.
He's playing really safe. Really safe.
Yep.
Now, both players are calling a wave 7 send, it looks like, because we've got Burnt adding the Elite Archer, and Magic did add the red mask, but he's changed his mind. What's he shifting for?
Oh, he actually built a mask more in the split and the Grand Level.
So I think that's probably a mistake from Magic, because if he did the red mask here, it would make him very strong on wave 7. So he maybe kind of panicked and decided to build for wave 6 instead. He's still not bad on 7 because the Green Devil is tanky and the masks deal damage, but obviously having that Hellraiser Tantrum is just so much extra DPS on wave 7. And the Sens do come. The Sens do come, so let's see if Magic pays for his decision not to go the Hellraiser here.
Yeah, the mole might hurt.
The mole might hurt, and he does get the Hellraiser now, but it's going to have 20% less DPS than it would have if he just kept it there on wave 6.
Yes, and also the mole DPS, if it goes on the Green Devil, it can die pretty fast actually.
Yeah.
Despite it being arcane.
Well, let's see. They know the Send is coming. We've got the Harden from Burnt, and we've got the red mask here. Now, the Sends are not huge. I think Burnt should be fine because his value is crazy high, and he has got the Elite Archer dealing a ton of damage.
And the Harden Madman.
Yeah. I guess if I'm worried about anyone, it's Magic. But he looks like he's doing just fine.
Nah.
One more spell from the Violet. He's going to be either clearing or just leaking a mole on its own.
I think he's gonna leak some mole.
Yeah, the mole and only the mole. So he's not just the mole.
Few blood.
Pro tip for all the casters out there: just don't say anything, because as soon as you say something, the opposite is guaranteed to happen.
Yeah, it's like the 4th or even 5th time it happened.
But they're fine with that, I think. Like, it's a little bit of extra gold now for the newcomers, and a little bit of damage done to Magic. So you can see his power score now there at the bottom of the chart. But Burnt is doing more than fine. He's 1.7k power score. He's got the best value. He's got 10 workers. He's doing just fine.
Yes, Magic, his safe play on 5-6 might have cost him a bit now.
Yeah, if he did do that Hellraiser on 6, which he did in the first place, he built it and then he changed his mind. But if he'd stuck with that Hellraiser, it's a guaranteed hold on 7.
Yes, definitely. So, let's say it's a first mistake of the game.
Yeah.
If you can say it.
The first mistake for Rusty Magic.
We forgave him, right?
We'll let him off, but only once. If he does it again, he's in trouble.
Yeah. If he does it during our games, I'm fine with it.
Okay, so we've got Ascend coming out here from Yonka Mayonka. We have Hermit DT going into Peini's lineup, but I think like his value is crazy high. He's got 1125. Obviously, the masks are really bad on wave 9. Like they're just worth nothing on wave 9. But he has got the Violet. He has got the Halo, which is decent, and he even has the Steed, so that Violet can get out extra spells. I don't know what's going to happen there. I think he might leak, but not that badly.
I think it's all gonna depend on the focus on the Violet. If the Hermit
Yeah.
goes on it, or the DTs.
It looks like Hermit's on the APS at the moment, and then it goes onto the Mask. So the Violet does stay alive a little bit longer, but it's going to die now, right?
Yeah, it's getting the full focus.
Yeah.
It's all on the Radiant Halo to clear as much as possible now before dying.
Meanwhile, Saiyajin, he's doing okay. I think he's going to leak, but not badly against the Double Brute, and Peini also going to leak fairly small, it looks like. So both players doing fairly well against these Sens, and again, they're able to push now.
Yeah, and especially considering that they didn't send on 9, so they keep the pressure.
Yeah. And the counterattack comes out, so we've got a Mimic coming out from Peini here, and Saiyajin has 200 Mythium. What does he want to send against this build? Maybe an Ogre?
Ogre, maybe? Or maybe a lot of tanks to mess up with the Trinity Archer?
He goes for the Ogre. The Ogre's a good send.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
Okay, and there's no resend from Yonka Mayonka, so the newcomers should be fine. I mean, they obviously will be fine. They've got 2 Halos.
We might see some sales of units for Magic to get the Fertilizer, but no. Actually, no.
Now,
He prefers to build tanking.
Bernt hardened his Mudmen and then unhardened them both. So maybe second guessing the send. Okay, now he's hardening one, so he's like hedging his bets.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Oh, all the consorts go on the ogre now.
That's really good, actually. You've got the impact damage of the ogre just wasted on the natural armor of the consorts. Plus, he takes a ton of damage from their death rattles, so he's actually going to lose all of his HP. He's even going to die, I think. Yeah, that's a really, really nice hold from Bernt. I mean, obviously, I say hold, it's a leak, but it's a very small leak against a 240 send.
Yes, and since I maxed out the king attack, it's gonna die in 1 or 2 hits.
Yeah, and the same from Magic, a very small leak, also against a 240 send, so they won't take much damage from this. Although, look at the workers, the newcomers, both ahead now, because of those king ups.
Yeah, exactly. They are having quite a big of advantage over Magic, especially. Bernt is between the two, 13 workers, but Magic is starting to fall behind now.
Yeah, he is. He is. He leaked a little bit too much on wave 7. Lost the gold there. Also, he leaked on wave 3, right? So if we just look at the leak, we see 39% on 3, 42 on 7, only 23 on 10, which is neither here nor there, really. But those small leaks, they add up, right? Like, he is losing gold over time.
Yes, exactly. And he even not that awesome on 12.
Yeah.
Despite this Tantrum Mask.
Yeah, the rest of his stuff is pretty weak on 12.
It's not the greatest.
But Bernt is very strong there. Very, very strong with all of his consorts and his Trinity Archer. He's super strong on 12.
Yes, he just can't cover anything.
Yeah. I think maybe it's 14 for all teams.
Yeah, it looks like it, because Halos are insanely good on 13, Gates are very good on 13.
Yeah.
In addition to the tankiness of the Lioness and the Doppelganger he might have. Violet and Berserker good on 13.
Okay, they do go for a 12 send, so it looks like all 4 players going for a 12 send. But I think maybe everyone will be fine apart from Magic.
Yeah, because the spell damage is gonna split between the snails, most likely.
Exactly. Now the giant snails really good against Hellraisers.
Yep, even good against the Trinity Archer.
I think they're decent against Violets as well, right? Because the Violet spell doing 120 damage, and the snails with 470 HP, so they will live through 2 of the Violet spells. So they can tank a lot of that damage and keep it away from the wave. So I think Magic will leak now. I mean, look at his value. His value is very low.
Yep. Julian hardening everything to make sure he holds.
Julian should hold. He's good here.
And he has even added a pyro.
Yeah, Julian's really good here. But Magic, I think he's going to leak really heavily.
Oh, look at this focus on the gate.
Yeah, the split kills his gate. Everything going wrong for Magic over here in lane 2.
Yep.
Let's zoom in and see his units die. Oh no. And then the gate taking aggro means that his red mask dies first as well before his front line. 81%, that's gotta hurt. Holds on both of the newcomer players. They're really starting to pull ahead now in this game.
Yes, it's all about now BerntDasBROT or Julian to carry Magic.
He needs to carry.
But look at the walkers on Peini, 18, and 16 to 15 and 12.
He's really starting to pull ahead. And this is even more king damage now for the newcomers.
Yep.
Well, we wanted them to show us what they're made of in game 2, and they're really doing that because they're playing so well in this game. Look, Peini's even on fire now.
Oh, it shows how big Magic is behind now.
Yeah. Oh, that's...
What's the plan? What do you think is the next plan? 14 or 15?
I would have said 14, but Peini's just added 2 more Hellraisers here, which will both be tantrumed on wave 14. He doesn't leak 14.
Yes.
So I guess it has to be 15. Then in that case, it's probably 15 for everyone.
Yeah, I agree with you, and he might also just get the Haven to have a good tanking split for 14.
Yep. Now, Saiyajin does have the gates, which typically do suck on 14, but he also has the doppelganger, which is pretty good. They are going for a 14 send on the newcomers. I don't know if that's the play. This might give Yonka Mayonka a chance to get back into the game, because I expect Burnt at least to hold this like easily. I guess it might get Magic because he's not particularly strong, although he does have the Millennium. He can't afford to turn it into a Doomsday, which would make him really good here. But he doesn't have the gold.
Yeah, they didn't send, so Magic is a bit far from the Doomsday.
Although it looks like they're calling a 15 send as well, because Burnt's going into the Pyros here, which might come back and bite him now. Because although I think he could have easily been strong on 14 if he just goes for like another Trinity Archer or something like that. But the 2 Pyros here and not hardening, this might be game over.
Yeah, it's a bit tough now for them to hold.
Yeah.
And also, what I found out that he has no split. Julian has no split, which means the Trinity Archer arrows just spread everywhere.
Yeah, true.
Instead of focusing on only half of the lane if he has a split.
Well, it's kind of fine like that because it's an AoE build. It's just better to do that anyway, I think.
Yeah, because of the Pyros, yes.
Yeah, but we needed Julian to hold here, and he is leaking, and Magic leaking 99%. Now, they have got the Max King attack, so they can probably stay alive, but this just income and gold advantage is really snowballing for the newcomers.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if it's GG, because this is a very strong spell, but they have no points in it.
Yeah. Do they survive? It looks like yes, they survive.
Yeah.
And here comes the counterattack, but they're giving so much gold away to the newcomers to help them hold.
Yes, how to come back from this?
Yeah.
Can they even come back?
Well, can they even hold the wave 15 resend? More to the point. Because here come the giant snails and the hermits.
When I see Magic's value, I'm very afraid.
Yeah, he's hard out of this game.
Yeah, he's building a Fatalizer, thinking they might go 16 now.
Yeah, I mean, Julian needs to hold here, but he's not hardening. I think you can safely harden on 15 because you've got the Pyros, so you're not in danger 16. I think he needs to harden, but he's not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Might be game. Might be game.
Oh, he does get 3 king ups though.
It might save the day.
It might save the day because I think that would have been a definite lethal if they full send. It might still be lethal without full send, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think he has the stuff to kill the boss now.
Yeah. Now let's have a quick look over at the newcomers. Pretty decent leaks, honestly, but not enough to kill them.
And they hold. Will they hold the longest? Oh, actually,
they don't die to that. Oh, Julian holds.
Is.
Oh, oh no! One more spell. Oh, but that's not enough. So they are dead here.
Yeah, they are dead.
Wow, well played, newcomers.
Yep.
Taking it to a 1-1.
Yeah.
As is LIHL tradition, every game ends in a tie.
Of course. I hope to do at least the same tomorrow.
Of course. Me and Shadow have a different strategy. Since we're the worst LTD team, we want to end the group 0-10. If we win any games, we'll be disappointed.
Feel free to just FF at wave 1, right?
Oh, wow. Really well played there from Peini and Saya to bring the series back to a 1-1.
Yep. The second game was pretty much one-sided, I think, after the leak on Magic on wave 7.
I'm just going to go back through some of the waves. So he leaks 39% to a DT on 3, which is pretty bad. I mean, it's not the end of the world, right? Like, that's fine. You can recover from that.
Yes.
He leaks again on 7, 42%. And he's on low workers as well. Like, 42% is fine if he's already 7 or 8 workers there. But leaking whilst on 6 workers and everyone else has, like, both of your enemies have 8 already, that's pretty bad. That's just falling further and further behind, right?
Yes, exactly. I think he could have maybe push a 7 Walker after getting his Violet and get only the Mask for 6 and the Green Devil for 7.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the play.
Then they do manage to leak the Newcomers on wave 9, but only very small leaks, like very, very small leaks. So they don't get much gold from that. They get very small king damage. And then they both leak wave 10 as well. Although actually that was okay. Like, they got big sends and they leaked quite small. It's more the fact that they had to send king ups there that meant that there was no pressure on the Newcomers. So Peini and Saiyajin can push more workers. On wave 11 they have 14 and 12 versus the 13 and 11 on Magic. And then that wave 12 just absolutely crushes Magic there. It just crushes him. Like, they're 81%. He just loses so much gold there, and he basically can't come back into the game after that point.
Yeah, especially considering his lineup, which is not like snowballing lineup.
Yeah, it's the kind of lineup where you need to be ahead. Like, he has a very strong role. He has White Mane with Hellgates, with Doomsdays, with Hellraisers. He has a very strong role, but you can't play it when you're starved. You need to have the value for that kind of role, right?
Yes, exactly. For example, on my 14, he couldn't upgrade Doomsday Machine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if he had that bit more income, like you can see on 14 there, his income is 100 lower than his enemies. Like, obviously that's partially because he didn't send, but it was already like 30 income below on wave 13.
Yes.
So he's just losing gold every wave, and it's a really tough position to be in, I think. So he then leaks the 99% on 14, and yeah, it's kind of just impossible to come back after that. And we see the game end on 15 there, even though Bernt managed to hold. Maybe things would have been different if they'd managed to call the 14 send, because remember, Bernt did build the Pyros there on 14. If he'd gone with like a Trinity Archer and maybe a couple of Hardens, then he definitely holds himself and maybe covers half of Magic's leak as well. But even if he doesn't do that, I think the game is really hard, just because Magic is so far behind in like value, workers, everything, right?
Yes, and also when you look at the late game comps of Newcomer, you have Full Mask for 16, 17 with the Haven.
Yeah.
You have Gate with MPS, a Doppelganger for 16.
Yeah.
Arter if you wanted to. They couldn't even come back anyway, I think.
Yeah. Really strong game there from the Newcomers, and a really good one to watch. So great series, a nice 1-1. Well played to all of the teams. And of course, thank you to mon frère, or merci de mon frère, SSP, for joining me on the cast. It's always a pleasure, dude.
Merci à toi, mon frère.
Cool. Do you have any last words for the stream?
Nothing specific, just congrats to both of the team to at least win one of their games. Looking forward for next good games in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Good cast with you tomorrow.
Of course. And I think this just really shows, right? Because we've seen 2 games in LIHL so far and they've both been ties. Like I was saying going into this league, just how close all of the teams are. Like, everyone is so close in ELO. I think any team can take a game off any other team. And it's going to be really interesting to see. Like, I expect a lot of ties in the group stage. And it's going to be... It's the closest league that we've had so far, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And even when we see the game 1, it was like no mistake, very high play until that wave 12.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a mistake that could happen to anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So pretty even teams in terms of skill level overall.
Oh, for sure. So, yeah, well played to both teams. And thank you for my beautiful co-caster. I will end the stream here and